left a door open? Like a front door or a back door to your house or apartment, something like that. It's easily done, but you think about it, and especially if it's like a backdoor scenario, anyone could have hopped over your garden gate and then they've got access to your house and all your stuff. Now, imagine that same kind of scenario, the ease at which things get left open, but instead of it being a house, it's a server, some part of your business infrastructure, and that's connected to the internet. This is what we call your external infrastructure, and it's these types of vulnerabilities that external infrastructure testing picks up on. This is the Evalian guide to penetration testing. Today we're going to talk a little bit about external infrastructure testing. External infrastructure is anything, any of the devices that you and your organization hold that are connected to and accessible via the internet. So the best way that I like to talk about it, and the way that I explain it to people, is that your business, your organization is a building. It's a building on a street with an address and postcode and things like that. And your external infrastructure is anything that can be accessed from outside of that building. And this is a great analogy, because what I then go on and say is that it's not just your front door or your loading bays or things that are accessible at street level. We've also got to be thinking about your third floor windows. Have you got skylights in your roof and things like that? Your external infrastructure is anything that can be accessed across the internet. Whether it's secured or whether it's a public space like a website or something like that, anything that anyone can access. So this includes things like websites, web servers, specifically the server underlying it, mail servers, DNS servers that you own and control. These are all part of your external infrastructure, as are VPN endpoints. These are very important parts of your infrastructure. Things like load balancers and firewalls, these are all part of your external infrastructure. External infrastructure pen testing is an amazing way of figuring out what vulnerabilities there are. What we often see in external infrastructure tests are very well configured firewalls that are hiding not so well configured devices behind them. And this is the equivalent of having a building with, a fantastic fence around the grounds, but once you get over that fence, all the doors are open and there's no access control, and you can walk straight in and walk into the vault or wherever it may be. So an external infrastructure test is going to highlight these weaknesses if you want to do it from that perspective of, okay, what can a bad guy do if they somehow get access to, say, a work laptop, or if they're able to infiltrate our VPN or something like that? Like, what are they actually able to do from across the internet? These are the things that you're gonna want to be finding out, because they could happen. It's great having a nice big high wall, but nowadays we encourage people to have what we call defense in depth. So if, or even when, the bad guys find a way of scaling the wall, making sure that there's still barriers to them getting into the vault, getting away with the gold. External infrastructure testing is, in my opinion, one of the most important, and it's just like the first port of call, because the bad guys are out there, they're scanning these IP addresses, they're finding devices, and they're taking closer looks where they find something that looks a bit interesting, some device with quite a few ports open or is running an older version of whatever software. So you absolutely want to make sure that from an external perspective, from an internet-facing perspective, you are presenting as small a target as possible. And in the event that they are able to breach your outer wall of defenses, you got to make sure that the devices that they have access to are also hard targets for them to exploit. That's external infrastructure testing, and this is the Evalian Guide to Penetration Testing.